Chapter 14, Alex's Adventures in Wonderland. The way into Wonderland was usually just a trip and a fall down a rabbit hole, followed by a gentle landing on a heap of sticks and dry leaves, assuming your luggage didn't land on your head, which it often did. But instead of the more traditional entrance the next morning, the Cyclones found a security checkpoint guarded by playing card soldiers with automatic rifles. Alex scratched at his toes through his socks. I still don't understand why I have to take off my shoes. Ever after Department of Homeland Security regulations, sir, a seven of clubs told him. Word is the big bad wolf got himself some magic slippers last night. Just put your shoes in the bin and slide them through the machine, please. Just be glad you're not Jack, Toad told him. He has to put his whole head through the machine. Look, man, no hands, Jack's head cried, bumping down the ramp in a plastic tub. Nanny Mae's trench coat amazingly went through the x-ray machine without any trouble, but TikTok kept setting off the metal detector and had to have a full-body search. While they were waiting, a teenage boy with a lick of blonde hair and a trench coat of his own ran up, a white terrier trotting behind him. Miss Gale, ever after news service. Any comment on why you gave your cleats to the big bad wolf? Dorothy, who hadn't said two words all night and all morning, crossed her arms and stared at her feet. Overnight reports from all over Ever After put the total number of storybooks eaten at 26, with the world's wizarding community unable to anticipate where and when the wolf will strike next. Do you feel any personal responsibility for the big bad wolf's current rampage? Alex jumped in between them. She's not the one eating people, and she didn't know it was the wolf she was betting with anyway, or she would have never have done it. The reporter scribbled in his notebook. You're the lark, right? The one the big bad wolf is after? What's your reaction to the wolf's announcement that he will stop devouring people if the wizard hands you over to him? Wait, what? 63% of storybooks polled by Eanes are in favor of giving you up. Will you turn yourself in? Alex stammered, and it was Nanny Mae's turn to come to the rescue. Preposterous. Cowards all over, that's what I say, she said, whisking Alex and Dorothy away. Toad, I could use the reinforcement here. Toad popped up in their place and straightened his jersey like he was on television. Toad of Toad Hall, candidate for Prime Minister, he said, launching into political mode. The current crime rate is appalling. I tell you, appalling. If elected, I shall crack down with the sternest measures. Tough on crime, that's my motto. Except, of course, for automobile theft, where some degree of leniency is required. Dorothy jumped down the hole that led to Wonderland and away from the reporter. Nanny Mae took Mrs. P in her arms, and after assuring Alex that it was a magical fall, not a real one, that would hurt, she and Alex followed. They fell slowly, and as Nanny Mae promised, and along the way, Alex had time to look around. Plastered all over the tall, round walls were advertisements for Wonderland businesses and posters announcing the next game in the Ever After baseball tournament. Nanny Mae, will they do it? Alex asked as they fell. Will the authorities turn me over? Don't be silly, she said. The agency doesn't negotiate with terrorists. That might have given Alex comfort if they hadn't been greeted when they landed by a horde of angry storybooks holding signs that said, if you're not dinner, you're against us, and chanting, feed him the lark. Nanny Mae hurried him along to the ballpark. This game, I suggest you keep your head down, soldier, she said. The Flamingo Grounds, Wonderland's baseball stadium, was odd, to say the least. The stands were pink and red, and in dead center, just beyond the wall, was a small cluster of topiary tum-tum trees cut in the shape of hearts, diamonds, clubs, and spades. Flamingos roamed on the outfield grass, which was cut in a chessboard pattern, while three playing card groundskeeper, under the direction of an officious lizard, were painting the white foul lines red. In left stood the stadium's answer to the Green Monster, an immense purple wall that would stop but all the most towering of home runs. Beware the Jabberwock, old man, Toad said, joining him. The Jabberwock? That's what they call the big wall in left. Jaws that bite and claws that catch and all that. Alex sighed. It wasn't the Jabberwock he was worried about. It was Dorothy. Playing the manga team had rattled her, but losing her cleats to the wolf was worse. It had sucked the life out of her. There was nothing left when Alex looked into her eyes, and he wondered how she could even bear to be here with the rest of the team, let alone take the field. Then he realized she wasn't there. All of the other Cyclones had joined them in the stadium, but Dorothy was nowhere to be seen. Scraps and Toad shared a knowing look. Everybody spread out, Scraps said. Check all the exits. They found her slinking out through the bullpen and right. She struggled at first to get away, but soon enough, They had her hauled back to the dugout where she sat slumped on the bench. Brer Rabbit kept an eye on her while the others huddled a few feet away. She was headed for the forest of fighting trees, Scraps said. The what? Alex asked. The Wild Woods, Toad explained. The dark place at the edge of ever after. Everyone has a different name for it. The Briar Patch, the Black Forest, the Shadowlands, the Doldrums. Alex remembered flying over it in the rocket. Isn't that where they were taking the wolf? I thought it was a bad place. Why would Dorothy want to go there? It's where you go when you've given up and want to wallow in your own misery, Nanny May told him. The people there become shadows of themselves, old man, tearing themselves apart. They become monsters. Jack shivered. Awful place. And Dorothy's not going to end up there, Scraps told everyone. We have to watch her. A black cat jumped down from the dugout from above, startling everyone, and crossed over to Nanny May and Mrs. P. Well, that can't be a good sign, Jack said. Hello, Winky. What's the rumpus? Nanny May asked. Winky and Mrs. P sat face to face about a cat's length apart and stared at each other for a few moments. Mrs. P glanced at Nanny May, who frowned, and then Winky was off, leaping up into the field and into the stands. Nanny May buried her hands in her trench coat pockets, but not apparently to pull anything amazing from them. Gadzooks, she muttered. What is it? What did the cat say? Alex asked. What? Don't be daft, Nanny May said. Did you hear her say something? Well, no, but can't you? Are we going to play baseball today? The nanny interrupted. Or are we just here for the tea and cakes? The Cyclones looked at Dorothy to rally them, but she still sat staring at her feet. Dorothy has apparently become useless, Nanny May announced. Toad, Jack, see the equipment is ready. Alex and I will deliver the lineup card. She was halfway out of the dugout already, and Alex hurried to catch up. He didn't know why Nanny May was so angry, but he didn't want to do anything to make it worse. As they crossed to home plate, Alex noticed the nanny was more vigilant than usual. She was scanning the stands like always, but she glanced at the skies as well. What had that cat told her? The home plate umpire, a white rabbit with a gold pocket watch, stood with a large, mopey turtle with a hangdog face and a plump, unhappy woman wearing a crown over her black umpire hat. The nanny introduced them as the March Hare, the Mock Turtle, and the Queen of Hearts. You're late, the March Hare told him. We, had to track down our pitcher. She'd gone missing. Off to the showers, the Queen cried. What? You can't throw somebody out of the game or before the game even starts, Alex told her. Can't I? She asked. She squinted at Alex. Say, you're not that lark, are you? The one the wolf is after? Nanny May cleared her throat, and Alex remembered her advice to lay low. No, Alex told her. I'm nobody you know. Did you say your name is Nobody? The Queen asked. Yes, the Mock Turtle said. That's what he said. I'm nobody, you know. No, I meant, you mean they don't have a first baseman? The Hare asked, studying the Cyclones lineup card. Of course they do, the Queen told him. The March Hare took out his pencil. Then who's on first? Nobody. Nobody's on first? That's right. The March Hare looked terribly confused. Now look here. When the third baseman picks up the ball and throws it to first, who catches it? Nobody, the Queen told him. Nobody catches it? That's right. The March Hare frowned. And if the Cyclones' first baseman wins the MVP award for the tournament, will nobody's name be inscribed on the award? Proudly, said the Queen. No, it'll be my name, Alex told the Hare. And you are? He's nobody, the Queen said. No, I'm somebody. I'm just not. You're somebody now? The Mock Turtle lamented. Oh, nobody tells me anything anymore. He does? When did you last speak to him? The March Hare asked. This is quite enough of this silliness, Nanny May cut in. Say, play ball. Toot sweet, she said. Or she told the Hare, say it. Play ball, the March Hare said. Play ball, the Queen repeated, and the game was underway. You have to be stern with the Wonderlanders, the nanny told Alex on the way back to the dugout. They can go on like that all day. Everyone is going to be particularly careful about what they say and what they do here, she told the rest of the team. That means no talking to strangers, no opening strange doors, and no eating the concession stand food. Brer Rabbit froze with a small eat-me cake halfway to his mouth. Aw, Nanny, I'm starving. You'll just have to tough it out then, she told him. Those cakes are liable to turn you 10 stories tall. Brer Rabbit tried to pop the cake into his mouth when Nanny May wasn't looking, but Alex snatched it away. Pinky, you're up first, Alex said. The flying monkey just stared at him. Pinkerton, Alex said, and the leadoff hitter grabbed his bat and fluttered to the plate. They were playing a team called the Misfits, which sounded promising to Alex. Maybe this one would be a cakewalk. They could certainly use one. Dorothy might play, but her heart wasn't going to be in it until they figured out a way to get her fired up again. At that very moment, she sat on the bench staring at her shoes, her plain black shoes, which Nanny May had magically dug out of her pockets to replace Dorothy's ruby and silver cleats. But perhaps the worst result of Dorothy's lost wager, at least for the Cyclones' chances at winning the tournament, revealed itself later that inning. Dorothy stood on third, and Alex was on second, and Brer Rabbit at the plate. Brer Rabbit hit a screaming line drive base hit to right center, and Dorothy walked from home to third. Alex, seeing the big-eared mouse in center and the vampire rabbit in right misplay the ball, rounded third and followed Dorothy home at full speed. What he expected to see standing in between him and home plate was the Misfits catcher, an overweight bald man in diapers and a red cape. Instead, he saw Dorothy still standing at the foot of home. She hadn't scored. "Dorothy, keep going. Go, go, go." "I can't," Dorothy said. Alex pulled up behind her, glancing nervously over his shoulder. The floppy-eared mouse had lobbed the ball back to the infield, and the first baseman, who was as thin as home plate, was trying to pick up the ball in his flat, smooth hands. "Dorothy, look, you can mope around all you want in the dugout. Just step on home so we can score." She turned on him angry. "Look at what I'm telling you. I can't touch the plate." She aimed her cleat at the house-shaped plate, but every time she tried to step on it, her foot bounced off like there was a force around it. Alex looked back at the first baseman. He'd given up picking up the ball and was kicking it around, using his flat foot like a hockey stick. "Dorothy, we have to do something." "Well, you try it," she said. Alex stepped around her and put his foot on the home plate without any problem. "Why can't I touch home?" Dorothy asked, dismayed. She was being replaced by new characters. She couldn't touch home. She'd lost her cleats. Alex suddenly understood. "Dorothy, your ruby and silver shoes. In your book, they let you go home, right? Now that you don't have them." "I can never go home," she finished quietly. The first baseman rolled the ball over, and the catcher picked it up and touched it to Dorothy. "Tra-la-la," he cried. "Out," the March Hare said. "And I really hate to mention this, but rules are rules. Any runner who passes another runner on the base path is out, which means you're out too, whoever you are." "He's nobody," the Queen cried from her place near the first base bag. The March Hare looked bewildered. "Then nobody's out?" "Dang," the catcher said. "I thought we had him." "Oh, well, tra-la-la." Dorothy's inability to score was disastrous, but Alex being nobody quickly offset it. Every time he was called out, the Queen of Hearts announced, "Nobody's out," and he got to stay on base. Soon the Cyclones had a commanding lead, but being nobody backfired on Alex in the bottom of the eighth inning when he hit a moonshot over the Maxim Jabberwock in the left field to put the game away for good. "Nobody has hit a home run," the Queen announced. Nobody has hit a home run," the March Hare said, trembling. "Next batter." Alex stopped his home run trot. "What? No way, I knocked one out of the park. Everybody saw it." "Everybody's not here," the Queen of Hearts told him. "Nobody is." "No, look, somebody just hit a home run, right?" Alex argued. The Queen of Hearts got in his face. "I know somebody. Somebody is a friend of mine. You're not somebody. Off to the showers." Alex, Toad called. "Just let it go. We're winning by 11 runs. It's in the bag, old man." No, you don't understand," Alex told the Queen of Hearts. "I am a somebody, lowercase. I'm Alex Metcalf." "The lark," the Queen cried. "I knew it. And playing under a false name. Guards, seize him. Off to the wolf." An army of life-size playing card people hopped out of the stands and came running, cutting him off from the dugout. "No, wait, Nanny May. Toad, somebody, do something." "I thought you said you were somebody," moaned the Mock Turtle. "I am," Alex said, and with a sudden inspiration, he pulled the cake he'd snatched from Brer Rabbit out of his pocket and took a bite. In moments, he was growing bigger, until the soldiers were nothing more than a pack of cards. Alex shook off the guards and lumbered around the bases, finishing the home run trot he deserved. "Come back here this instant," the Queen commanded. "Nobody disobeys me." "Somebody just did," Alex said, and he jumped on home plate so hard that he shook the stadium's foundations.